So David says something really interesting in 1 Samuel chapter 24. I want to read just part of this verse. It says this: I will never lift my hand against him, since he is the Lord's anointed. So this is a statement that I'm just reading, and obviously you have no idea the context or anything about this story at all. And that's really what makes this such a powerful thing. Okay? In this case, when we look at what took place in 1 Samuel chapter 24, and then in the passages before that, the chapters before that, on this occasion, David is on the run from King Saul, because Saul, basically, knowing that God has cast him out as the king because of his rebellion, he is refusing to submit to God's will. And he continues to be king, and he decides, knowing that David is going to be king someday, decides probably the best thing to do is to kill David, all the while pretending to be righteous and so on and so forth. So this basically pushes Saul to the point of insanity, okay? He murders a lot of people. He does a lot of bad things. But at this point in 1 Samuel 24, David literally is hiding in a cave with 600 men. And they're all, tucked away in the back of the cave. Well, out of nowhere, the army of Israel, 3,000 men, show up at the mouth of the cave, and nobody comes into the cave except one, Saul. And this is after David has been hunted by Saul for who knows how long, right? Saul's been hunting him and using the army to try to force him out of places. David's literally been on the run as a fugitive, hiding out in rocks. Okay, so this occasion comes. The King Saul, walks into the cave to basically take care of some personal business, go to the bathroom. As a king, he would want to do that privately. He wouldn't want to have somebody hanging around. So he goes in there and goes to the bathroom. Meanwhile, David walks up and cuts off the corner of his robe. And then his conscience bothers him, even that he did that thing. And he says to his men this statement. He says to his guys in the back of the cave, I swear before the Lord, I would never do such a thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed. He's talking about Saul. Even though David himself was anointed king also, he says, I will never lift my hand against him, since he is the Lord's anointed. What David here is basically saying is, that's the man that God made king. And I am going to trust God that he's able to unmake him king. Now, this is a very unique situation, because this is not something that you and I are ever going to find ourselves in, I hope. I mean, obviously, none of us are going to be kings, right? I'm pretty sure nobody in my audience is ever going to be or is currently in any royal lineage. But the lesson or the point here that is so powerful is the fact that David simply was putting his faith in God above his own ability and his own actions, and even this situation where seemingly God delivered his enemy right to him. He says, yeah, but that's the man that God anointed as king. That's the Lord's anointed. When he says that, what he's saying is, I understand something about my own authority and about God's authority. That's basically what he's saying. That's the Lord's anointed. That's the man that God put into the kingship. And he's basically saying, I'm trusting God above just my own actions. And I can tell you this, that's not easy to do. It really requires a very solid grasp of knowing that God is going to answer you when you pray, that he is pleased with us when we trust him, rather than just jumping out there and doing it in our own strength, according to our own wisdom, based on our own desires. David, certainly this was a temptation to just do it, because then he could go out of hiding. They're hiding in caves. They're hiding in rocks. He could go out of hiding. He could go out of danger. He could be reunited with his family. All of this while, he's living a homeless life as a fugitive, okay? But it's interesting that David puts in front of all of that stuff, right? All of those desires, all of those wants, all of those needs, in front of all of that, he basically puts his faith in God, and he says, no, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to believe that God's going to take care of this. And that man is the man that God has anointed. So I'm going to let God deal with him according to his own ways. Now, in the book of James, it says, faith without works is dead. I think when you see this, you see a man that is obviously trusting God. Okay, that's not super common anymore in our world. It's just not. Listen, our lives should have those earmarks of faith. Every one of us should, if somebody hung around us for any length of time, they should see areas where we are trusting God, that our faith is actually in him, and we're not just doing whatever we can based on our own strength and our own wisdom. Now, I want to say this too, because this goes two ways. This is the tricky thing about it. I'm not saying be a lazy bum. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't do anything, just let God do it all, because that's not right either. Okay? I'm saying when people see us living our lives, they should see the faith there. They should be able to look just like we're looking into David's life and say, see that? That's where he's trusting in the Lord. People should see that in our lives too. We need to live by faith. I'm not saying show off or do certain things so people can see it. I'm saying we truly need to put our faith in God, and we need to do it in such a way that it is visible in our lives. We have every reason to trust God, right? Knowing all that he has done, knowing all of his goodness and his mercy, we can put our confidence in God and live day by day completely directed by that knowledge that, man, God is so good to us. So I know it's Monday. I hope you have a great day. This is the beginning of the week. I hope that this is something that ministers to you. Thanks so much for watching it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you.